Women's 5,000 gets going here. They've had all their fun here tonight. All the athletes competing on a rainy Friday night here in Tracktown, USA. Glad to have you all tuned in here for the final couple of races here on runnerspace.com. Keenan Gray alongside the great Dan O'Brien. It's been fun, been wet, but seen some great performances all around. And again, this is all just a buildup for what's to come next week for a lot of these schools competing in their respective conference championships. And then just a couple weeks away from those regional qualifiers and hoping to try to get those top 12 to qualify right back here for the NCAA championships set to take place in that first weekend of June. So there's 4 women here in this women's 5,000. We see Maddie Elmore back there out onto the track after racing the 1,500, finishing second overall in that women's section. Then you see Dalia Frias, the freshman representing the Ducks, transferred actually from Duke University and went to Miracosta High School, had a really good career down in California during her prep time. And then Melissa Berry, after winning her 1,500 section earlier today, she sits there in 3rd position. And then our 4th and final athlete is Anna Iverson of Pacific Lutheran University, the senior. Just 4 women competing here in this women's 5,000.
Well, and this is just like a training run for these Oregon Ducks here. See the 3 of them up front, and Shalane Flanagan is down there somewhere hollering splits and giving them instruction. You come out here in a 5K. We'll see if Maddie Elmore finishes this 5,000 meters. But she comes in with the best personal best, 15:15:79, and Frias 16:10, Barry 16:11, and Iverson has run 18:25, and just pace is a little bit too quick for her off the bat.
In any other year, when you look at the time like what Maddie Elmore has ran, and then also her teammate Shilan Iladis, who also ran 15:15, you think, wow, that is going to get the job done at the NCAA championships. Well, then enter Parker Valby as the only athlete to ever dip under 15 minutes in the 5,000 in collegiate history, and arguably the person that's, if anybody's going to pick, is going to run away with that race is Valby. So again, like I said, 15:15 is a great time, but then you got someone like Parker Valby in the mix, and it's like, oh, yep, that's another level right there.
Well, and it's interesting, just Parker Valby, you know, we're getting ready to go to the SEC championships. We're wondering, what is she going to run at the SEC championships? She's, you know, is she going to try to run the 10,000 meters at the NCAA meet? Can she do both, the 5 and the 10,000? But she's kind of an enigma in the fact that she never really gives away her hand and what she's gonna run. But when she runs fast. She wins. She certainly has created brought a lot of eyes to the sport of collegiate distance running. But you're absolutely right. She's a generational talent, and in other years, you know, Maddie Elmore would be one of those athletes running for the top spot.
And it's interesting enough, we talk about so many different training tactics, and Valby has become the face of the cross-training aspects, not necessarily running the high mileage and doing a lot more elliptical bike-type work, or even however other people do elliptic or cross-training type of situations, and it's paid off for her. It's working for her. So again, like there's so many different training strategies, and maybe someone like a Maddie Elmore does a lot of high mileage and it works for her, but someone like Parker Valby doesn't do a lot of mileage, and it also pays off for her.
Well, and it's, you know, one of these things, I think it's just one of the little secrets there at the University of Florida is, you know, Parker Valby saying she's not running as much, she's not putting in any, you know, she's not doing all the heavy workouts on the track. But, you know, people on the inside look at you and wink and say, she's still getting her mileage in. You know, you're not going to be a fantastic 10,000 meter runner like she is without getting that 60 miles, you know, that 70 miles a weekend. And it's almost impossible to run that fast. I mean, and coming off a the cross country season, I could really see that she hadn't run that much, and she's just fresher than everybody else. But what she's doing is absolutely amazing. But don't let the lip service fool you. She'll be the first one to kind of chuckle and say, "Yeah, I run about half as much mileage as everybody else."
And you were kind of pointing out the fact that is she going to run the 10,000 at maybe SECs and the regionals? Well, as a matter of fact, she probably will be running the 10,000 at the regional meet because she still hasn't hit the Olympic standard yet.
Yes.
And wants to, she believes she was 8 seconds off of the Olympic standard when she ran her collegiate all-time best at the 10 or at the Brian Clay, and I believe it was Stanford. One of those meets down in California that she ran the collegiate record, and still just a couple of seconds off of that Olympic standard. So she'll want to rain down on that race.
Well, it might not make sense for her to do the 10,000 meters at the SEC meet because it's in the swamp, just based on the weather. But it's really, could be her last opportunity to run up that track in a Florida uniform. As I look at the rankings in the 5,000 meters, you see the two Oregon girls there in second and third position, Maddie and Salon. But then you can't forget about the Alabama runner, Hilda Olamomoy, who's run a 15:05 this season as well. And Alabama is one of those programs that just continues to find great distance runners. They're not finding good distance runners. They always find a great distance runner to complement the rest of that squad.
You're seeing one of them right now, Maddie Elmore, just ahead of Dalia Frias. Again, Dalia Frias had a great prep career when she was at Mira Costa High School in California. Went to Duke initially when she came out of high school, was a ACC indoor conference performer, and then decided to enter the transfer portal before the outdoor season and said, you know what, I'm going to go back to the West Coast, and either came down to UCLA and Oregon, and Shalane Flanagan made her a fair offer and said, hey, come join the Ducks and you'll have a successful time here too. And she's certainly she's running with some of the best athletes in the country with Maddie Elmore, again, the 5,000 school record holder, Shilan Eilides, who will probably have a legit chance of, I'm trying to get the country off the top of my head that she represents, so it'll come to me eventually. But nonetheless, though, there's a lot of talented athletes in this Oregon program, and they all work off of each other and they flourish off of each other.
Yeah, and with the Bowerman squad around, and maybe you're not training with them every day, but you certainly are coming out after their training. There's just a general excitement, and I think that's one thing that Eugene has always had is just it is the place for great training and great camaraderie when it comes to the sport of distance running. Track and field in general is, just even as us casual runners, it's exciting for us to go out on Priest Trail and run out there. I probably run more in the Olympic trial week than I do in a month in Arizona, and just because of the weather and the beauty of it and all. But it used to be a foregone conclusion that a lot of athletes would just come here to Oregon. But with the athletes with the transfer portal and great coaches now in a lot of different places, it's highly competitive. So that's a great catch for Shalane and a great catch for the Oregon Ducks.
And people have complained about the transfer portal being a place where it's like, well, now people aren't being loyal to the schools that they chose to, or it's just why is this thing becoming such a hassle at the NCAA level? Well, really, it's meant for giving athletes an opportunity to feel like if this is not the place, like the first place they go to, if that's not the first place they feel like they belong, then it gives them an opportunity to maybe go somewhere else and get a feel of what it's like there. And I think Dalia Frias and a lot of athletes that have entered the transfer portal have taken advantage of that. And you can call it the second time is the charm. It's really worked out for a lot of these athletes when they've entered the portal.
Well, and college coaches have stopped complaining about it, have stopped talking about it, and they realize and understand it is what it is. This is what it is right now, and we have to deal with it. We get into it. we've got to make the adjustments and expect it, just to accept it for what it is. And it's always amazing to me because you see some of the best teams in the country. It's like, oh my gosh, another 400-meter runner transferred to Florida, another sprinter, transferred to transferred to Auburn or something like that. But it's it just is what it is right now, and everybody has an opportunity to live in this system.
So through 3 kilometers, Elmore 9:35.47, with Frias right behind her at 9:35.72, just about to a lap. Anna Iverson. So initially the first couple laps, 76.77. Those last 2 laps, Dan, were at 75. So 2:30 for that last 800. The pace now picking up here about 5-minute mile pace or so.
Well, I said maybe we wouldn't see either of these athletes complete the 5,000 meters. They look very comfortable right now, and they keep looking at their watches. I think they're out there to run fast times. They're working together. The tempo looks good.
Another 75 seconds for Elmore just ahead of Frias. This is Frias's first race since indoor, when she ran with the Ducks upon transferring there from Duke. Last ran at the Ken Shannon Last Chance Invitational. 2:07.66 in the 800. It's been a while since she's ran a 5,000. And with that lifetime best in the 16 range. At this point, though, is well in range of running 15:40, 15:50 or so. We like to think the rain has lightened up a little bit. Again, it was coming down quite a bit. You can see on the screen in the puddles splashing on the track. Not falling as hard as it was early on, especially during a lot of those field event action, because you could see just the rain just when the athletes were spinning in the discus ring. The water was just splashing all over the place.
Well, and it's only from a couple of camera angles does it look like it's still raining pretty hard out there. But here you see them splash around. That water in lane 1 is not getting any less. Only for a second in the steeplechase did I think that the rain was coming down a little less. And this is a good look at that rain. It's still coming down pretty hard. But Frias doing a good job. She looks like she's in a little bit of distress here. But every time she begins to fall off the pace, she puts her head down and she pushes a little bit, especially over there where you see Shalane Flanagan screaming at him from the 200-meter mark. And Maddie Elmore doesn't seem to be stepping away too quickly. She's got great turnover. She looks like she could take off at any time, but I think this is a race setup to help Frias just run a fast time.
12:45 with a kilometer to go as Elmore continues to lead it. Frias still trying to hang on there. The last couple laps, again, have been 75.76s. Elmore finishing second in the 1,500 about an hour ago. Trying to set up her teammate to get a qualifier for the regionals, as it's 2 laps remaining, 800 meters to go, 76.33. So the pace slowed down a little bit. It's 13:23.44 for Elmore. And Frias just a little under a second behind.
Well, and I think this is exciting and bodes well for the Oregon Ducks. Maddie Elmore, just a sophomore. Dalla Frias, a freshman. And it's one thing Oregon does really well. They always have a slew of young athletes ready to step into the limelight, challenge at the national level.
See Coach Flanagan urging them on here, and it looks like Maddie Elmore might finish this race out just enough to help her teammate Frias get that great time she needs before going into Pac-12s and try to avoid running a fast time in Boulder, Colorado, as they head into the home straightaway, second to last time. With Elmore Frias, the gap has now grown to 6, maybe 8 meters. As it's Elmore at the bell lap, 77.69 for Elmore, 77.82 for Frias. Elmore now opening up the stride here on the backstretch. Frias starting to fall back and dipping her head. Like you said, fatigue starting to set in, but maybe a little bit of a surge move right here by Frias here with under 250 meters to go. As it's 15:20 with 200 meters to go for Frias. As Elmore moves onto the outside in tune to give Frias a chance to close strong here in the final 100. It's Frias here. Goes to the arms. And we'll cross right around 15:55 as Frias gets the win there for the Ducks. And a lifetime best 15:56.33. That moves her into the top 60 at the NCAA Division I level, and perhaps just enough to get her into that top 48 for the West Regional meet.
Well, she showed some real toughness on that last lap. You could see she was falling off the pace, but she just kept driving, and every time it looked like she just might give into it, she found a way to surge. Saw her move at 300 meters, saw her move again at 200 meters, and then with about 120 meters to go, she was able to find another gear and slide under that 16-minute mark. That was great teamwork by the two Ducks up front there. And here's Barry coming home strong, 16. Yeah, just under 16:50. But there's always something at stake here, Keenan. Always something at stake in these races. And you think, well, maybe there's not a lot on the line. Whether it's a personal best, a qualifying mark, a record, you can always come up with a way to make a race matter.
When you got a teammate like Maddie Elmore, who's already ran 15:15 this year, for her, that was more of a tempo type of effort after running the 4:11 in the 1500. It's nice to have a teammate like that can be able to pull you alongside and get you a lifetime best, and more importantly, a regional qualifier. So you see Frias there now in the top 28, not top 28, top 48 in the West region. As Pacific Lutheran's Anna Iverson finishing here in the closing stages, as she rounds out our women's competition here at the Oregon Twilight. And will run herself to a lifetime best too. The magic of Hayward continuing on here, as Iverson closes it off for the women's 5,000. 8:15.56 for the senior at PLU. And look at the results. Frias with the win, 15:56.33. Should be enough to get her into the West Regionals. Elmore 15:56.94. Barry 16:47 after running the 15